In the 1920s, the automobile revolutionized the way Americans lived, creating new cultural norms for many families across the United States. The automobile became more and more affordable in this time period due to economic advances in forms of loan payments, allowing for lines of credit to be opened. An increase in efficiency of production also resulted in more affordable prices.
Henry Ford's assembly line is a prime example of this productivity. Providing more simplified tactics of construction, more jobs were available to the American people, creating more economic opportunity. Ford paid his workers an unprecedented $5 a day when most laborers were bringing home $2, hoping that it would increase their productivity.
The automobile influenced other industries as well. As cars became more prominent, new emerging technologies such as gasoline, rubber, glass, and steel became more important as dependency on automobiles increased. Texaco gas is a prime example of this phenomenon. Gas stations began to dot the land, and mechanics began to earn a living fixing the inevitable problems. Oil and steel were two well-established industries that received a serious boost by the demand of automobiles.
Highways were increasingly constructed to account for the extended use of cars. The government passed the Federal Highway Act of 1921 to further the initiation of construction of new roads.
With increased travel and the furthering of highway construction across the United States, a new aspect of the economy was opened up. Motels were opened up and down the highway to accommodate travelers.
There was 1 car per family on average in the United States in the 1920s. This was a transition from the previous periods where only families of high societal status owned a vehicle. By 1929, a total of 26.5 million automobiles were registered, compared to that of the 1.2 million in 1913.
In this time period, the automobile symbolized a new American way, a nationalistic American image. Owning a car was the American way. Cruising in automobiles such as the Duesenberg was popular in America, but this typical Sunday afternoon family pastime was largely discontinued during the Great Depression, beginning with Roosevelt's presidency in the 1930s.
The influx of automobiles within a short time span in the United States caused congestion in cities from people commuting to work. Soon demands were made for licensure and safety regulations on the state level. Despite the drawbacks, Americans loved their cars. As more and more were purchased, drivers saw their worlds grow much larger. With an increased amount of people on the road and more traffic, there was an increased risk of injury while driving. Wrecks became more prevalent within the 1920s to later become the leading cause of death in the United States unrelated to physical well-being.
In social terms, the automobile affected all that Americans did, such as shopping, traveling, and commuting to work. Freedom of choice encouraged many family vacations to places previously impossible. Urban dwellers had the opportunity to rediscover pristine landscapes, just as rural dwellers were able to shop in towns and cities. Teenagers gained more and more independence with driving freedom. Even cuisine was transformed by the automobile. The quintessential American foods, hamburgers, french fries, milkshakes, and apple pies were hallmarks of the new roadside diner. Drivers wanted cheap, relatively fast food so they could be on their way in a hurry. Unfortunately, as new businesses flourished, old ones decayed. When America opted for the automobile, the nation's rails began to be neglected. As European nations were strengthening mass transit systems, individualistic Americans invested in the automobile infrastructure.
The 1920s saw tremendous growth in automobile ownership, with the number of registered drivers almost tripling to 23 million by the end of the decade. The car changed societal views in America. The automobile was a more concrete representation of wealth, rather than an abstract idea of personal worth.